Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today I'm going to take a little bit different approach when looking at the Leatherman Free P4. Now, when I do my reviews of multi-tools, I automatically look at them from my perspective as a tradesman. So I'm looking at a multi-tool in a hard use application. Well, sometimes it can be difficult to put myself in the position of others. And the fact of the matter is that most people in the world are not tradesmen, and most people in the world are not going to be subjecting their multi-tools to the type of hard use application that I put mine through on a regular basis. So with that in mind, I want to try to put myself in a different look at things from a different perspective and give you my top 5 reasons why the Leatherman Free P4 might very well be the multi-tool choice for you. When determining whether or not the Free P4 is the right multi-tool for you, I think the very first thing that jumps out to me is the fact that everything is one-hand accessible. So you can get to your saw, your knife blades, scissors, and all the interior implements with one hand. And that is a huge advantage that the Free P4 and P2 have over the other styles of multi-tools, that no other multi-tool can say that they offer full one-handed operation. The fact that you can easily open the pliers one-handed and get to every single implement. The ergonomics on the Leatherman Free P4 has got to be its biggest advantage. The next factor that comes to mind for me is the fact that the Free P4, while it's still in a standard duty multi-tool configuration, is its size. So on the left we have the Leatherman Wave Plus, which is a standard duty multi-tool and one most everyone is familiar with. Then we have the Free P4 in the middle and the Leatherman Surge on the right. Now the Surge is going to be your heavy duty application. The Leatherman Free P4 falls right in between the range of these two tools. So the Wave is a 4-inch frame tool, the P4 is a 4.25-inch frame tool, and the Big Surge is 4.5-inch frame tool. With that in mind, the Leatherman Free P4 offers a more robust pair of pliers and more capabilities than you're going to get with the Leatherman Wave. Now, it says that it offers the same number of functions that the Leatherman Surge offers at 21, but the fact of the matter is I can think of a few extra functions that the Leatherman Free P4 has that neither one of its competitors on either side of the spectrum have. And that is another contributing factor on deciding whether or not the P4 may be the multi-tool for you. I like the fact that it falls right in between those ranges of tools, but it still maintains, it doesn't sacrifice weight to accomplish that. So the Wave Plus is about 8.5 ounces, 8.6, right in that range, and the P4 is right at 8.67, so just barely noticeable. In fact, you holding on to them, you can't notice what the size difference is or the weight difference between the Leatherman Wave Plus and the Leatherman Free P4. So I like its overall size. I think it's a good combination, and no other multi-tool fills that void at the moment. The next thing that I think you have to appreciate about the Leatherman Free P4, and what I consider to be its closest competitor, is going to be the Leatherman Wave Plus. And there are some things on the Leatherman Free P4 that are offered that do not come in the Leatherman Wave Plus. You don't have that capability or that functionality. The first thing is the awl. One tool that the Leatherman Wave Plus has always lacked, or the Leatherman Wave for that matter, has always lacked, has been an awl. Now, while I don't necessarily completely like the design of this particular awl, I can't argue with the fact that it does work. I've tested it multiple different times on various different types of wood, and it functioned and performed without issue. So I've said it before and I'll say it again, you really can't knock it if it works. The second thing is it has a nice pair of outside accessible scissors, another thing that the Wave doesn't offer. The ability to get to scissors one-handed from the outside is something that I like. It's what I like a lot about my Surge. The Wave does not offer that. Now they do have scissors, but it's a lot more cumbersome to get to and a lot more tedious. The next function that the Free P4 has that the Wave doesn't have is a package opener. Now the Wave Plus does have a capability with the draw cut function on its serrated blade, but it doesn't have a package opener per se that is really what it's designed for. Those are some of the things that the Free P4 does over the Wave Plus, and I think it should be considered when trying to decide which one of these is right for you. The next thing that I think you have to consider is the fact that there is more to the Free P4 than meets the eye. And what I mean by that is Leatherman lists the Free P4 as having 21 different functions. Well, the fact of the matter is it actually has more. I don't understand why Leatherman doesn't list these, but they don't. So in the tool list for the Leatherman Free P4, it lists this implement as a package opener and a mini pry tool. What it neglects to mention is that it is also a very capable flathead screwdriver. On the serrated blade, there is no mention of the fact that the front of this new redesigned blade works exceptionally well as a scraping tool. And that is a tool that you will not find on any other multi-tool that I can think of except for the Victorinox, a couple of different Victorinox models. And the last thing that this tool can be used for, but is not listed, is that the flat surface that is created on the top of the multi-tool plier head can be used as a pommel. It's not listed as a tool, but it definitely has that functionality. So while Leatherman lists the amount of functions on the Free P4 as 21, I actually consider it to have 24 functions. So there is more to the Free P4 than meets the eye. The final attribute that I think you have to consider when looking at the Leatherman Free P4 is that, though it may be difficult for me to admit at times, it has a certain level of cool to it. The Leatherman Free P4 is a very modern design, and the innovation that went in to the engineering behind it is frankly quite impressive. The one thing that stands out to me from the engineering standpoint of this multi-tool is the elastomer bushing design in the handles. That to me was a very smart individual that came up with that particular design. Now, if you're not using this tool in hard use applications like I will be, then there's really not that much of a flaw. There is a little bit of a handle flex because of that design, but if you're not putting your multi-tool under extreme loads, that should be a non-issue. And whoever the engineer was that came up with that particular design deserves a lot of credit, because I think that was a very, very smart idea. The next thing is the magnetic architecture itself. Now, while I personally am not a fan of the magnetic architecture in this multi-tool, it was pretty innovative. It really was. The fact that they keep all the interior tools in a loose configuration, and all the magnet does is hold those tools in position until you actually need them, so that with just a single thumb flick you can access all those interior tools, fan them out, pick exactly what you need, and go to work, was pretty smart as well. Now, if you're not using this multi-tool where you're going to be around ferrous metals of any kind, then it should be a non-issue. It'll be a long time before it actually clogs up with enough ferrous material where you actually have to clean it out. A lot of people think that this is the new wave, or a new era in multi-tool design. They may very well be right. This might be the stepping stone for what we're going to see in the future in multi-tool designs. I don't know, but it's hard to admit that the Leatherman Free does have a cool factor that no other multi-tool has. These were my 5 top reasons why I think you might want to consider the Leatherman Free P4 as your multi-tool of choice. Sometimes it can be very difficult for me to put myself in someone else's shoes and look at things from their perspective. But if you're not using your multi-tool in a hard use application, this may very well be the multi-tool that best suits your needs. The ease of use in this multi-tool is probably the biggest factor for me when trying to look at it from someone else's perspective as to why I would want this particular multi-tool. I like the size and weight range. The fact that it has an awl and those outside accessible scissors is also a huge plus over the Wave Plus. The fact that there's extra capabilities that even Leatherman doesn't acknowledge is a plus for me. And obviously, it, like I mentioned before, it does have that certain level of new and cool and innovative and modern. And for those 5 reasons, I think this is a multi-tool that you should possibly consider. My name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib. I appreciate you watching my video. If you like my content, I would appreciate if you give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.